and everyone should come in prepared to the meeting so that when the meeting is done, we can come to a conclusion and an action plan. Hi, my name's Devin. Today I own several multi-million-dollar companies. We started with $5,000 in a credit card. I don't know the easy way. I only know the hard way. Hey everyone, welcome to the Whiteboard Entrepreneur Podcast, where I give straightforward advice to fuel the entrepreneur in all of us. Today, I want to talk to you about if it's important enough to have a meeting, it's important enough to have an agenda. And this is a lesson that I recently learned that actually my CTO taught me. And I'm happy that he actually called me out and other people in the company and said, hey, if we're going to have a meeting, if it's important enough to have a meeting, let's have an agenda about the meeting and then circulate it ahead of time. Because if we're going to take everyone's time, let's not waste it. Let's make sure we know what we're talking about and let's make sure we go in planned. So we're going to use my fancy new whiteboard here. I'm going to write this up. And I want you guys to think about this. Number one, I think you're going to find that this is going to save you quite a bit of time. Because how often are we premature to set a meeting, right? When actually, if you had to set the meeting, create an agenda for the meeting, and then circulate it, in the process of creating the agenda or considering what would be on that agenda, you might go, this meeting probably isn't necessary. I can probably handle this in an email, or I can probably handle this with one person on a 10-minute phone call, as opposed to taking everybody's time, cutting up everybody's day and getting everyone on a phone call or on a Zoom or in an office and running through a meeting. And so this provides discipline around the actual even calling of a meeting. But also it does make you consider what's the point of the meeting. So if we're going to have a meeting about, hey, we're going to have a meeting this week and we're going to talk about, our customer acquisition, right? So now all of a sudden you're saying, hey, I'm Devin. I'm calling everybody because I want to talk about how our customer acquisition is, 10% behind schedule. Okay. All of a sudden there's my meeting title. Boom, I'm sitting in a meeting that says, hey, we're going to have a meeting that's going to be talking about customer acquisition, 10% behind schedule. And then I can put together an agenda that says, these are the people that I need to be there. This is the data that I want brought to the meeting. This is the topic that I want discussed. I want to talk about perhaps hiring folks. I want to talk about people who are underperforming. I want to talk to us about having the appropriate goals. Boom. These are the three topics that we're going to talk about. And then we're going to have an action plan by the end of the meeting after we discuss these. Instead of just sending out an invitation that says, hey, sales meeting at 1:00. You have 5 people on there. Maybe only 3 need to actually be part of the meeting. Nobody knows what they're talking about because all they know is they're having a sales meeting. They don't know to bring data. They don't know to talk about the fact that we might be hiring people. They don't know to understand whether we were evaluating people's performance. They're coming in totally blind. And then once the meeting starts, we're going to try to figure out what an effective meeting is. And so, our CTO worked for us, basically brought this up and said, listen, we're having to have 2 or 3 meetings when we could have killed. Number one, we only need half the people on there. Half the time, we don't even need the meetings. And when we do have the meetings, they should be half the time and they should be clear, concise, and everyone should come in prepared to the meeting so that when the meeting is done, we can come to a conclusion and an action plan. And I'm going to tell you, it was hard for me to hear this because, like I said, I was the culprit. I was the one that was doing this, saying, hey, guys, let's have a sales meeting. Invite these 6 people, and I'm going to waste everybody's time because I don't have it organized ahead of time. Well, once I've been challenged with this and the rest of our team has been, man, the number of meetings have gone down. The effectiveness has gone way up. And the number of follow-up meetings is drastically reduced. It is a great way to run your company because if it's important enough to have a meeting, it's important enough to have an agenda and circulate it ahead of time. I'm Devin, and this is Whiteboard Entrepreneur. I know this tip's going to help.